Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money channel. Okay, so there have been more updates in this latest crypto saga that involves SBF and FTX. Apparently now Dr. Martin Hisbach here, he's pointing this out now. I don't know if this is confirmed or not. I'm just reporting what I'm seeing here. He basically says, yeah, basically it seems 5 or more exchanges are now passing assets into each other to make it look like they are okay on the proof of reserves snapshot. So now all these exchanges are really scrambling in order to, look legitimate in the wake of FTX's collapse. We've got the price of XRP coming down a bit, and this is exactly what I thought would happen. We did see that initial big move up for XRP and other cryptocurrencies as well, but over the last 3 days, we're not able to sustain that momentum. And I do think we are going to come back down in here. We are going to base, again, this is XRP on the daily. The positive news for us XRP holders is that we already had seen a bit of a pump back in September. So we're kind of back at square one here. We're basing back in this level of support that we saw back in the summer. Whereas there are some cryptocurrencies that are down off those lows even. So it's good. We're here. We're still trading at a relatively reasonable price at about 35 cents, give or take. Let's take a look at the King Crypto Bitcoin here real quickly, and you guys can see that trend is similar for Bitcoin. Last 3 days have seen some movement to the downside after that huge pump up. And Bitcoin's another one of these examples where it is now trading below that June 18th low that we saw for, basically for the entire crypto market back in the early summer. So Bitcoin is off those lows, and, other coins are as well. Unfortunately, Solana happens to be one of those coins too. And get rid of that. So Solana is also off those lows, but chances are we are going to see a lot of these coins go back to those lows that we saw from a few days ago. The market is going to need time to recover. Joel Katz, David Schwartz, also posting this. More accusations and evidence of outright evil are now coming out. So he's retweeting out this tweet here from a BlockFi employee. The only reason FTX bailed us out was to get our user funds onto their platform to use them in their shell game. They applied immense pressure to get BlockFi funds migrated to FTX custody. Employees were told by executives not to ask questions about the move. So, David Schwartz is tweeting this out. This is hearsay at this moment in time. Nothing is confirmed. But, when we see guys like David Schwartz bringing this up on Twitter, I have a feeling that, he's one of those guys that has his ear to the ground, probably gets a lot of good, trusted information within the crypto space. So, guys, we're going to keep an eye on that. Digital asset buy, also bringing this up. So, Mark Wetjen, we talked a little bit about him yesterday and his connection to FTX. I believe in yesterday's video, we did look at his LinkedIn profile. Well, apparently, he has now deleted his Twitter account. We should also take note that he was present with Sam Bankman-Fried at these White House meetings that they had back in May and April. So there you guys can see from the White House's official website, Mark Wetjen was there with Sam Bankman-Fried at a lot of these meetings here. And now Wetjen is looking to erase all traces of any association with FTX. Wheezy at Nerd Nation Unboxed also bringing this to our attention. Both Mark Wetjen and Jill Sommers, who worked with Gary Gensler at the CFTC, have now deleted all their info from LinkedIn. So it only took a day. Jill Sommers here, we didn't look into Jill Sommers specifically, but Mark Wetjen, we did look into his. Jill Sommers apparently did have FTX listed on her LinkedIn profile. Now that has disappeared. And Mark Wetjen, no trace of FTX. And in this clip from Gary's CFTC days, sitting next to him is Jill Sommers, who was on the FTX board. Another great tweet here from Wheezy at Nerd Nation Unboxed. Let me play you guys this.
I'm pleased to be with you. I'm particularly honored to be here with Commissioner Sommers on these important matters. The Commission and I take very seriously the losses of customer funds that should have been segregated at all times. Customers should have been able to rely on a system of protection that protects them at all time. And it's not just about the customers that lost money. It's about farmers and ranchers and other end users that need to have confidence in these markets. It's with these critical markets of futures markets and ultimately in the swaps market as well, the customers need to be able to hedge the risk, lock in the price of corn or wheat or an interest rate, and hedge their risk so as to focus on what they do best, producing food and fiber and other essential products. Now, the recent events at Peregrine remind me of a saying my grandfather had and was handed down in my family and repeated quite often. This immigrant from Russia used to say, "Figures don't lie, but liars sure can figure.
I don't even know what to say about this. Talking a big game about cracking down on losing money and consumer protection, but I think by now we know where Gary Gensler's allegiances lie. Here's just another quick article here. I will link it in the description if you guys want to read it. I'm not going to read it over, but this was just from September 1st, 2022. FTX.US derivatives deepens board with the addition of ex-CFTC commissioner, and that is, in fact, Jill Sommers. The hire comes as FTX has previously pitched the CFTC to directly clear customers' crypto swaps. So, here are the connections. I mean, they're right in front of us. Hard to deny these hard facts. If you guys didn't catch, I did a few videos over the last few days with regards to the FTX story and Sam Bankman-Fried. I will link one of them up here in the top right-hand corner. This story is continuing to develop, so there's still a lot of information coming out with regards to this. And here's another one. Hiding in plain sight when Sam Bankman-Fried was asked about how he was going to spend the money that he was looking to fundraise. Okay, this courtesy of Sentosumo Saba on Twitter. House of FTX was falling before the drama on Twitter on November 5th. Okay, so this was only days, guys, days before. SBF confirms at the Forbes InnoClass Summit the rumors of FTX raising capital were true. Then when asked where the money was going...
Hey, Sam.
Great. How's it going?
Well, it's good to see you.
You too.
Thanks for joining. All right, we got somebody who's 30 years old and doesn't need an introduction, so that's cool. All right, so there've been some reports that you're out there raising money, that FTX is raising money. So is that true? And if so, what do you want the money for?
Potentially, I think, we're kicking the bucket on it, so to speak. And, main context is acquisitions. Main context is, there's some that we can do, where we are right now, but there are some that we're potentially looking at, which would be, larger, which would, benefit from having more capital to deploy on them. And so, we'll see what happens, but there's some upside in us being able to do bigger things here.
I think we've been hearing all morning that, right now, if you can raise it, you raise it.
Yeah, upside potential, not really giving us a straight answer, not having a business plan. I mean, this guy, if he were pitching this on Shark Tank, he would have been eviscerated. Hindsight, of course, 2020. Thank you, Crypto Eddie, for posting that. Now, John Dean here giving us a bit of his insight with regards to some of the logistics in this grand conspiracy, as some people are calling it. What some people fail to understand is that the point here isn't that there is some grand conspiracy. The point is that SBF bought access to regulators through money and his family's political connections. And so, we are seeing the same thing with ETHgate. And we're realizing, I think at this point in time, we're realizing how incestuous and how nepotistic, is that a word? Deriving from nepotism, how connected the industry really is through friendships and monetary ties. And so when we know this, when we realize this, it really just does expose the rot. John Deaton continuing by saying FTX was an offshore exchange. Why was SBF leading the policy debate? So that's the other thing. He was leading the policy debate in Congress. Why was he testifying before Congress? I like that term. Coinbase is the largest exchange in the United States and is a publicly traded company and has been attempting to work with the SEC. In fact, Coinbase has a broker deal license, yet Brian Armstrong was shut out, threatened to be sued over Coinbase's Lend product. The CEO of the largest exchange in the US was denied meetings even. He even tweeted out his frustrations. What about Kraken? Why not talk to them? In the meantime, Kevin O'Leary and others rushed to join SBF. And now those people are demanding we rush legislation because an offshore exchange collapsed because of theft. Our political leader's solution is to push legislation co-written by the man who stole $10 billion from customers. So that's the other thing we have to remember. The bill was co-written by Sam Bankman-Fried. And look at the situation now we've found ourselves in. We need to ask why SBF was given priority and access. Right now, I tend to lean towards him being the second biggest donor to those in power and his political connections. As you guys know, he did donate. He was the second largest donor to the Democratic Party. Go ahead, call me a conspiracy theorist all you want. If Gensler has nothing to hide, well then why don't you release everything? So a great little tweet thread here from John Deaton. And I just also wanted to bring this up. Again, not going to go over this in detail, but I did think it was important to bring up. There is also a connection between the FTX exchange and the Ukraine. Right at the beginning of the conflict, FTX was saying, and this was just written up back then, it was making news back then, FTX says the crypto exchange gave cash to all of its users in the Ukraine. But there's also some alleged accusations. They are accusations of FTX perhaps being a laundering tool to the Ukraine, to send money to the Ukraine. Now, that is obviously not substantiated, and I'm not saying that that is true. I have heard rumors of that as well. Anyway, guys, I thought I'd let you digest that because, like I said earlier, the saga continues in the crypto space, and we are feeling it in the price. Kevin O'Leary did a video yesterday about his comments regarding the crypto space. Some positive news despite everything. I will link that video up here if you guys didn't catch it. As an investor, though, he says, you will never get it right every time. You will make some mistakes, sometimes big ones like FTX. The key is to learn from them so you don't repeat. Over time, experience will get you to a place where you make more good investments than bad. And he finally says here, the crypto bottom is in. So that at least is some positive news, and I'm assuming what Kevin O'Leary means by this is that this is the company that he mentioned all those months ago that needed to go to zero after the Terra Luna debacle, after the Celsius debacle. He went on the record and he said there needs to be one major player that needs to go to zero before we can really kind of rebuild and make sure the crypto industry is robust from that point moving forward. And I'm assuming that he's saying this is it. This was it. FTX was that big company that went to zero. Unfortunately, and ironically, maybe some may say, he was involved with that company. He did invest in that company. And, he owns up. He says, I made a bad bet. Sometimes bad bets are made, but you got to learn from your mistakes and move forward. Crypto bottom being in. I do not doubt it for 1 second. This is the total crypto market. And as you guys can see, that same pattern here on the total crypto market cap, retracing back into this level of support from back in June. So if this is the bottom, as per Kevin O'Leary, looking like that would be the double bottom pattern before we finally move out of that now. That's not to say we won't see some of this first. Who knows how long it's going to take? That is always the biggest head scratcher. Nevertheless, going to continue, guys, because Ripple still making moves unaffected by this. This from DJ Peter Vass on Twitter. Ripple has entered a partnership with Ethereal Labs to boost the platform's NFT capabilities. Ripple birthed the Creators Fund to support digital art on its ledger, adding NFT capabilities, making it a complete Web 3.0 platform. And now they've partnered with Ethereal Labs, guys. They announced the partnership that could boost the XRP ledger's growth in the NFT market. In the past few days, NFTs on Ripple have not performed well. Interestingly, though, despite the ongoing litigation with the U.S. Financial Securities Commission regulator, right, Ripple has continued to show improvements in its NFT performance. The two technological firms will work together to secure more partnerships and boost utility and demand for NFTs on Ripple. Ethereal Labs is a respected player in the Web3 space, and its projects of virtual artworks for Lionel Messi and Toys R Us, among other firms. So those are some of the projects that have been built with Ethereal Labs. We have some comments here, too, from David Schwartz and Adrian Baschuk, the COO of Ethereal Labs, just with regards to this partnership. But ultimately, more development on the XRPL, which will eventually, guys, mean more demand for XRP on the XRPL once this industry gets back up and brushes itself off. It's unfortunate because I do think we have been set back a little bit. Nevertheless, we are seeing money move. We are seeing lots of crypto moving, especially XRP, guys. Ripple helped move almost 1 billion XRP as price begins to recover. So this was just posted yesterday. Whale Alert Crypto Tracker has tweeted that over the past 24 hours, massive amounts of XRP have been transferred. One of the largest lumps of this token was moved by Ripple Labs specifically. Whale Alert published around a dozen tweets showing that Ripple and whales have been moving astounding chunks of XRP, starting at about 30 to 40 million XRP and ending in about 307 million XRP. A whale shifted 173.5 million from Binance to Bittrex, and then another 306.9 XRP was transferred from one unknown wallet to another, and then Ripple sent another 100 million XRP to its reserve wallet, which has a name here, RL18-VN, in order to send it to an outside wallet belonging to Ripple later on. So we're seeing a lot of XRP being moved, albeit a lot of it is by Ripple. So I don't know if these moves have to do with the FTX story, and if investors or whomever might want to have control over their XRP at this moment in time. Like I said before, the XRP price has been impacted, but if you look at the grander scheme of things, not as much as other cryptocurrencies, because quite frankly, it is here. It is designed to provide a solution for a real world problem, something that I think, a lot of the newbies And a lot of people that just don't understand cryptocurrency don't realize. Darren Moore just did a video the other day, and I suggest you guys watch it. I will link his tweet here in the description of the video, and you can see there is a YouTube link to that video. He did also post this clip here of Bo Li, okay? He's affiliated with the Central Bank of China, but he's also part of the International Monetary Fund. The competition between correspondent banks is decreasing. Fees are on the rise, but ODL, fintech, and smaller banks can compete by offering faster and cheaper settlement times. New solutions using crypto assets like XRP are, in fact, changing the game. Listen to this.
Start with a heavy reliance on correspondent banking. Banks rely on accounts in other banks in other jurisdictions to move money across borders and make payments on their clients' behalf. Smaller banks, in turn, use larger banks to do this. This is expensive. Customers may pay large spreads on exchange rate. Fees compound as many intermediaries each get a cut. And the competition in these services is actually decreasing.
So in that clip, Bo Li discussing, correspondent banking models and how the game is changing. Big banks, the legacy banking system, used to get a cut of these profits, but now because of distributed ledger technology, those profits are moving away from big banks and being democratized, I guess you could say. Well, I mean, I guess not so much democratized, but the entire system is being democratized, and so the smaller players can now share in these profits, or don't have to pay some of their profits to the bigger banks to facilitate some of these transactions that they would have had to do years ago. So that's just one example. Within this context, Bo Li was talking about central bank digital currencies. We know China does have a central bank digital currency that is completely programmable and controllable. But not every CBDC is going to be like that. So this is why this is going to be an interesting system, because these coins are going to have to interoperate. And so if you have a country that has their own CBDC, and then you have China who has theirs, and I mean, they can, control and tweak their CBDCs to how they see fit, but they can still interoperate on a distributed ledger like the XRPL, using XRP to source for that liquidity. So there's that clip in the context to that. I also saw this from Real XRP Boy here on Twitter. Now, this is an interview from years ago, okay? Clear as day as to why they went after Ripple, talking about the SEC. And so this is Stefan Thomas and Chris Larson. Stefan here talking about the legacy banking system and how Ripple and XRP are basically changing that game. I don't know what year this is from, but guys, they have had this idea, they've had this goal from very early on.
The reason that makes a lot of sense is because when you actually go out there into the market, the evil people, you mentioned I'm an anarchist, so I really want to empower people, right? But the people that you got to fight are not all the banks. They're a few, very, very powerful players in the market that sort of take a little bit off the top. And those are the people that you want to bypass. And then everyone else, there's a lot of small banks and regional banks and so on that we've talked to that are really trying to provide, better user experience. They're really trying to provide lower fees, etc. Those are the companies that we want to work with and empower. And it's not just banks, it's payment providers, mobile money providers, and so on. So that's kind of
even way back then, Stefan Thomas and Chris Larson obviously not disagreeing here, on the same page. Ripple was created to basically be a competitor to the traditional big banking model, the traditional legacy system, and legacy banks, they don't like that. So one theory goes as such, this is why we're seeing the SEC sue Ripple, try to delay things so that, the US can get their ducks in a row, get the legislation in place. And some are assuming that maybe this FTX thing was also part of this grand plan, a controlled demolition, so that they can get their banker buddies on top of the cryptocurrency trend before all these other private companies like Ripple come and take all their business away, because they have already been developing these better mousetraps for years now. Which begs the question, I saw this a couple of days ago, but I didn't think much of it. Well, maybe today's video is the time to mention it. True Perception here posting this. So what if Library was the sacrificial lamb? The SEC needs to win, so they get one, setting a low-key favorable precedent ahead of Ripple. Then just for fun, check out the duration of the case. Is it any coincidence, guys, that it took 589 days from March 29th, 2021 to November the 7th, 2022 to conclude the case? Things that make you go, So, the WEF fighting tooth and nail against the legacy players because they want to see this system, their system, become the new international standard. And it is no surprise, and I'm sure a lot of you guys already know, Ripple is connected to the World Economic Forum. We also know the World Economic Forum has ties to Hollywood. Now, this was brought to my attention. I saw it on Twitter, and I got to thank Ashley Prosper for tagging me in this tweet specifically. So this coming from Ashley here, retweeting out XR Patriots tweet, Blacklist, XRP Ripple. This was from season 1, guys, episode 11. I don't personally watch the Blacklist, but I had to do a little more research on this. I went to IMDb, the Blacklist, of course, it's been on for a while. And if you go to the episode guide up here, and you go to season 1, episode 11, let me just scroll down here, episode 11, The Good Samaritan, you guys can see the air date of this, January the 13th, 2014. So quite a while ago. Now, let's get back to this clip here. And for copyright reasons, I'm definitely not going to play this clip because I will certainly get dinged for that. Basically here, I'm going to try to give you guys a breakdown of what's going on here. This individual, he's trying to transfer money before he gets shot by the main character here. But he does it in time, and he shows him the transfer confirmation. And he explains how he did it. And so he explains how he did it, what mechanisms he went through. Again, remember, this particular episode is from 2014. And so I thought I would bring up my Netflix, and apparently the picture is gone. I don't know why. And I'm going to mute this, but I'm going to have the subtitles on to show you guys, and I'm going to read them out as they go. So this is around the time that he's describing what he did here, how he transferred these funds here. And let me play you guys this, okay? So he goes and he says, so this is just going on here. He says, wait. I did it. It's done. Look, it's untraceable like you asked. How? Explain. I used a Ripple exchange to have the fiat currency converted to eCash in Bitcoin. I ran the transaction through a cryptographic extension at the protocol level, then a 2-tier security laundry service I know I can trust. So, a Ripple exchange? You may ask. I'm not making this stuff up, guys. I'm not gonna, again, like I said, I don't want to get dinged for the copyright, but I will link this in the description of the video for you. The most interesting thing here, guys, was the date, January 13th, 2014. I want to bring you guys the Ripple Labs wiki page here just to kind of analyze this and the history. Notice this, okay? So Ripple has been around for a while, but under the name OpenCoin originally, in May 2011, Jed McCaleb began developing a digital currency system in which transactions were verified by consensus among members of the network rather than a mining process. In August 2012, Jed and Chris Larson approached Ryan Fugger with their digital currency idea. After discussions with McCaleb and the long-standing members of the Ripple community, Fugger handed over the reins. In September of 2012, Chris Larson and Jed McCaleb co-founded the corporation OpenCoin. And then by September 2013, OpenCoin officially changed its name to Ripple. Fast forward to January of 2014, and we already have Hollywood projecting, telegraphing to us what the future of finance is going to run on, a Ripple exchange. I mean, I would find this to be a coincidence if it wasn't dated so early on. The fact that this was happening in 2014, only months after OpenCoin was officially changed to Ripple Labs, when they were still such a small company, really does get me shaking my head. But is it any surprise, really, guys, that we are seeing this in Hollywood? There was also an episode of Homeland, and a few years ago I did a video on that where they also mentioned Ripple, and I'll try to find it. I'll link it up here in the top right-hand corner. We know Hollywood is part of the system, so have they been telegraphing the usage of RippleNet, the adoption of XRP as early as 2014? I don't know. Tell me down in the comments what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.